What we have seen over the years in Nollywood, are they equitable storytelling? The Igbo man is the trader, is the businessman. The Yoruba man is 419, and then the Hausa man is the Mugu.
After small brouhaha, I learned that's my father. Rain started for me. I was drenched from my head to my toe.
You must create stories that are balanced. You see a girl, she's flaunting Gucci bag, LV shoes, blah, blah, blah. Please, what comes to your mind?
My name is Biodun Stephen. I'm a writer, producer, director.
Biodun Stephen is a Nigerian filmmaker whose work quietly, consistently, and deliberately shifts the narrative around women on screen. In an industry where gender stereotypes have long shaped character arcs and screen time, her films offer something different. Women with interior lives, ambition, contradictions, humor, and authority.
When you think about gender equity, you're thinking, oh, something is not favoring woman and then it's favoring, then you realize that no, it's not just about that. It's about culture, it's about societal norms, it's just a whole lot. And just a better and a clearer understanding that gender equity is not really about the difference in man and woman, but it's really acknowledging our difference and offering an equal opportunity, taking into consideration our differences.
The formula for storytelling. Yesterday when there was a video of Daddy Face, when they asked him if your 16-year-old daughter gets pregnant, he said she will abort it. And people are coming for him. But you see, because of what I know now and the way I think now, there are like 3 dimensions to that argument. She's 16! Yes. If the boy that is also 16, and please, so parents are 16, what do they know? They are babies. So I'm not saying I'm endorsing it, but I'm saying that I'm understanding why. And that is really what formed how I then take stories. Take something in a simple form, ask why, and explore the why. Okay. Always. Many times I'm inspired by my own life, my own journey, you know, and you know, sometimes when it comes to like real life situations, people have said, oh, this reaction that you are giving is not natural. And I'm like, but it is rational. It doesn't have to be natural, but it is rational. Because everybody must win last night. Yes. And if I break down and shatter, we do nothing. So that for me is how, you know, I try to tell stories. I just take a very simple story, look for people that I can relate to, and build this character. If I use an example of a film like Bread Life, right? When I was younger, my mother had a shop in Agege Market. And in Agege Market, there was this bakery. The children of the owner. We eventually became friends. 2 families. We had a family friends that were very well off. They had opportunity to be great. Because the money was not a problem. So you can travel, you can do whatever. But I saw that those kids, they didn't do anything with their lives. Then I go to this, so these were like rich posh kids. Then in Agege, these my bakery people were the rich, trenches kids who could also, I mean, literally, I bought my first pair of jeans when I was 14 and a half, and I took my mother's money for a period of 6 months to gather down money. So these girls were already wearing, not designer, shop on my body, but jeans. You know, all the body top. I couldn't do all those things. It's gown. It's very American gown that I used to wear. So, but you see, all I had, thankful for my mother, I had really good education. She really invested in my education. So, the only thing I had is English. If I speak it, I don't even speak it well again. If I speak it that time, you would think I just called. That's all I had. So, you know, and I looked at, so years has passed. What I'm saying is this kid had, both of these children had opportunities that I didn't have. I lost my mother when I was in my year 1. So I didn't have them, but my vision didn't stop. For some reason, these kids didn't, this one did not continue. They just assumed that daddy's bakery is going to be there, you know, forever. Business will be booming. No, but the bread business has morphed into other things, you know. So you have to get with that program for the other people to develop their dad, so the source of income. And that really was how I created Bread Life. So I went back to my friend's bakery to go and shoot that scene as an ode to remind me of my journey. To remind me that I've come thus far. And these children had everything and they are still there. Wow. The story is that when I make a decision on the story, I can defend it because I'm not writing from a place of fiction. It's from a place of reality. I take one character and that character I can flesh with so many people that I know. So for instance, Sister is Auntie Awa, my cleaner for the past 15 years, who comes clean in my house, and I see how hard she works, and she has 2 children.
I'm a producer, and this class is important to me because it teaches the basics of producing, you know, what is needed in the act of filmmaking, especially in telling gender equitable stories.
Incorporating gender equitable stories is actually about dignifying our stories and dignifying our characters. It is important for us to see that our male characters are given a dignified process, a dignified natural storytelling process or narrative. And our women are exhibited the way that we are in our natural environments in the real world.
Aside from getting to sit with really brilliant and super talented women, I also got to learn how to layer characters, you know, and then move away from, you know, the stereotype of characters as was portrayed in the presentations by our facilitators. So it's an eye-opener, it's very impactful, and I look forward to this going forward.
Again, because of my background, I think my background had sort of pretty much influenced the way I reason. And so I've come to appreciate that, you know, even when things are supposed to be like this, it really shouldn't be like that. It's the conditioning that makes us think that a single mom cannot advance into marriage or have an happy ending, you know, it's conditioning. And so what I was trying to do with the film was tell a 4-part story from 4 different perspectives: the children, the mother, the father, and the wife.
Her stories do not reduce women to background figures in someone else's journey. They position them at the center. Through films such as Picture Perfect, she explores the emotional complexity of modern relationships and the societal pressures women navigate while balancing love and ambition. In Breaded Life, she examines growth, humility, and responsibility under character-driven storytelling that resists one-dimensional portrayals. With projects like Sister and other television and film works, she continues to spotlight women as decision makers, professionals, caregivers, and change agents. Her storytelling is grounded in realism. The dialogue feels lived in. The conflicts are layered. The resolutions are thoughtful rather than simplistic.
Many a times we've seen what Nollywood has been a celebration of stereotypes. What are stereotypes? Stereotypes are the cliches that you and I see. So for instance, and I always like to use an analogy to sort of describe when I'm talking about stereotypes. When you think about the Igbo man in terms of marriage, the Igbo man is the one that takes care of his wife. We have that. The Yoruba men are the Yoruba demons, right? And then, well, that's a stereotype. I don't really care whether you are one of the different. You get. And then the Hausa man is what? So when you, in fact, just think about it, let's talk about it in terms of career. The Igbo man is the trader, is the businessman. The Yoruba man is the 419. And then the Hausa man is the mugu. And you see it every time on screen. Not just on screen, it's what we've been told. And just like that, many of the things that you do as you are growing up, you keep going back to what you are familiar with. You keep going back to, because it's your comfort, but so it doesn't mean that what you're familiar with many times is right or is wrong. It's just because that is what you're used to. My sister here drinks coffee every morning. I don't like coffee. It gives me the shakes. But she cannot function without having a cup of coffee in the morning. It's not that it's right or wrong. It's just, it's like the British, how they drink tea. The British guy, when they are happy, they offer you tea. When you are mourning, they offer you tea. And let me tell you, if you grow up in that kind of household, when you have your own family, you will be a tea drinker, And so many times as storytellers, we many times write from a place of what we know. But we're saying that give us equal opportunities, however, take into consideration my differences. Which means, for instance, if I'm a woman and I'm on my period, you have to understand that, okay, for this number of days, I'm not going to be available. It does not diminish my worth. It does not diminish my value, because that is how we've sort of projected women, that women are weak, women are, but how can you say a woman is weak when a woman is raising 4 children, going to the farm, cooking, doing homework, prayer warrior, still servicing a guy in the night? And all of God's job is to go and provide. Do you know what I'm saying? So that narrative has been something that we've been handed over for years, where people just assume, they are the weaker being. It's like when you see a woman driving a car, and the woman does not say, "Now, woman, what do you mean? I've seen worse drivers that are men." Do you understand? And so when we begin to think about these stereotypes, these cliches, we begin to understand that no, there's something wrong. And one of the greatest avenues that has endorsed these stereotypes is television. I think that even just simply put would be, if you imagine how Nollywood was, it used to be, it belonged to the men. The Nollywood of now belongs to the women, and I think that knowing what we know now is no longer a case of one gender owns it, this other gender takes over. And where we are going now is both of us can equally sit on the table, and I think that's what we're evolving to, that collaboration. It's no longer a case of what men can do, women can do better. Yes. We're no longer in that narrative. Where we should be evolving to, where I see us in a couple of years now, is that togetherness.
For me, I think it's an opportunity to also relearn, also share what I know so far, and even examine what I know so far. And more importantly, demystify some of the myths, about filmmaking, about female representation, and just really explore, stereotypes that has permeated the industry, and how storytelling, can reshape that and reinforce, female representation in film. So hence why I think it's very important, particularly because we have a new crop of filmmakers and we need to begin to change, how we tell stories.
She challenges audiences to reconsider assumptions about gender roles, power, vulnerability, and leadership. But her contribution to gender equitable storytelling extends beyond the screen. Behind the camera, Biodun Stephen creates space. She mentors emerging filmmakers, both men and women, helping them develop their voices in an industry that can be difficult to access. She advocates for inclusive hiring practices and supports women stepping into directing, writing, and production roles, areas where representation has historically been limited. She also uses her platform to engage in conversations about fairness, visibility, and narrative ownership. By encouraging diverse perspectives in writers' rooms and on production sets, she strengthens the creative ecosystem itself.
When you think about Patience Ozoko, how many of us have terrible mother-in-laws? I don't. But because we saw this so much on screen, people started praying that when I married, my mother-in-law should have died. And Eleni, you have already killed the person. Yes. In fact, for some people, it now became deal breaker. Is your mother still alive? I'm sorry, you cannot. Because you've seen that over and over on the television. And Patience Ozoko has done a phenomenal job of being the wicked mother-in-law. But not all, mother-in-laws are wicked. Not every short skirt wearing girl that likes to wear crop top, short skirt, do crazy hair is a prostitute. There are prostitutes that wear, forgive me, that wear purdah. So because we keep showing that is the only picture we have in our heads. So if a woman now says, oh, I want to be with a man that can take care of me, aka gold digger, let's be honest. You see a girl, she's flaunting Gucci bag, flaunting LV shoes, blah, blah, blah. Please, what comes to your mind? Yes, there's a big God, there's a small. Is it big girl, big? Yeah, she has followed man. It does not matter to you whether the girl is from a rich home, whether she inherited money from her family, whether she's even like even when a woman is saying, I'm self-made, we are still doubting. Because we just believe that at the bottom of that money is a man. Because we have sold it in films many times that the only person that can remove you from this penury is a man. Why is the Agbero always the Yoruba boy? And why is the ritualist the Igbo man? Every time. We have to start looking at these dynamics, because these things are reinforcing narratives that are wrong.
The entire project is about equitable gender storytelling and female representation. You know, Biodun happened to be a champion, and she felt that I was doing something and we should collaborate instead of just doing it by herself. So we started talking.
To be honest, I'm just taking in all the information. I think that one of the key things that we must do is that a lot of us, this industry was built out of pocket. A lot of us are doing this work fueled by passion, not because you're making anything, to be honest, surviving by God's grace. It is not an easy industry to be. And as Amisha was talking about collaboration, access, and I'm here just thinking about the young new filmmakers. Even me. I'm thinking, the stars, they have it easy. The actors, they have it easy. But for somebody behind the scene, walking to any place, they first look at you. Who are you? And I've seen this happening, and I'm thinking about the young, the young filmmakers who are saying to them, oh, just be persistent, just even getting an opportunity to speak, to even pitch. That's tough. That in itself is tough. Just for them to even listen. I mean, I'm not afraid of no, because I know that the worst you can say is no. But just listen to me. That is tough. So we should not move. I feel like, let's try and balance these conversations. Because just getting through that door, from the gatesman, they have already signed you up and telling get out of here. So I think that it is such a tough thing, but I think that more importantly is that when we make this out of love and passion, we also need to educate the audience. Earlier on, the conversations with the critics was really, really important. But I also think that the critics also have a job to do, and their job is not just to criticize the film, but also educate the audience. The audience don't even know sometimes what they are watching. And I'll give an example. I was having this conversation a few minutes ago. And you see, the audience also determines the kind of film we are making, because literally everybody is trying to make a film to impress the audience. So where they train me, first 15 minutes you sort of introduce the actor and build up reasons why this actor will be that way later. But Nigerians like bad goes from the first scene. So that is why sometimes you feel like the film looks like a collection of kids, because that is what they like. Once the film is 15 minutes and the building story is dragging, so I think that this whole collaboration is not just between me and producer. Audience collaborate with us. Understand that? Because those things are also helping us. So as much as we complain about, audience are so quick to talk about Nollywood, the audience are also not helping us, because we are literally struggling to survive, and we're trying to give them what they want, which is why you see one producer, today action film, tomorrow comedy, next tomorrow, because you are reading feedback and you're like, okay, this is what they want. Okay, they want this person. Let's go fight. And it's not helping
favorite things I've experienced today is just being in a room with people you've heard about since you're literally a child. We just had a session with Wale Adeniga, and it was so insightful. Yeah, it's just generally meeting people like Biodun Stephen and Jill Abraham, and it's been a great time. Yeah.
Events like this are very beneficial to filmmakers. I know filmmakers just want to be on set. I know we just want to tell our stories. But when we gather like this, we rub minds together. What it helps us to do is, one, there's this creative collaboration in shared ideas. And two, we can pick these shared ideas and then begin to create solutions that can help us build our industry.
Female representation and advancement in media. I think it's such an amazing conversation to have right now, where we are having, conversations around gender equity. So yes, I'm passionate a lot about female storytelling, and these are values and themes that we're infusing into our African stories now. So yes, I'm a story consultant. So yes, I'm much interested in that.
For Biodun Stevens, equality is not a theme, it's a practice. Her work demonstrates that storytelling is cultural architecture. The stories we tell inform the futures we imagine.
So we wanted to approach us from advertising. Okay. Many times watch maybe like Disney adverts, and you always see that it's depicted as the man is daddy in the living room watching TV and mother in the kitchen. I'm trying to create a new type of ad that addresses this traditional stereotype, as well as giving the woman the opportunity to say that a career also matters. Opening scene. So we get another called Belefo. I think that when I got the opportunity to be selected, first I had no idea how much work was involved, how much learning. Just being a storyteller, understanding how I have to be more intentional, giving the narratives, the narrative change opportunities that are there. I feel responsible now with the kind of story that I'm telling, and how much work I need to put in, and how much intentionality. Also, just beyond filmmaker, seeing my work as a change. So for me, being a champion is very, very daunting. But I'm learning, and I'm soaking in all the knowledge, all the conversations. Yeah.
When women are portrayed with depth, dignity, and agency, society shifts meaningfully. Through intentional narratives, industry leadership, and sustained advocacy, Biodun Stevens advances a more balanced, more truthful representation of the genders. This is why Biodun Stevens is our champion.